Welcome on board the Rich Planet Starship, broadcasting from somewhere high above the Earth. I'm Richard D. Hall. This week I am joined by the organiser of the Leeds 2011 Exopolitics Conference, taking place at the University of Leeds on the 5th, 6th and 7th of August. He has managed to garner an incredible list of speakers from the UK and worldwide, some of whom have been on this show. Here to discuss the conference, I'd like to welcome on board the Starship for a second appearance, Anthony Beckett. Welcome, Anthony.
Hi, Richard.
Now then, before we start talking about the conference, you helped me out with a little piece of evidence that I had from an animal mutilation case. Now, those who aren't aware of animal mutilation, it's a phenomenon which is worldwide, and this is where animals are found with strange surgical injuries on their bodies. And it was reported to me that there was a mutilated deer only 35 miles from a mutilated horse, which are reported on extensively on this show. Now, discovered next to this deer's body, I'm going to show some images of this deer, and they are quite disturbing for those who are sensitive to this kind of thing. You know, look away now. But next to the deer, there was this strange bright yellow jelly substance, and the chap who found the deer thought that this might be significant. He thought it might have been something that was used, an ointment or something like that, in the mutilation attack. So I wanted to get this jelly analysed, and I put an appeal out for scientists. And you've got a background in chemistry, Anthony. Just tell us about that first.
I've got 2 degrees in chemistry, and I did a master's degree at Huddersfield University.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I heard about your appeal on your show, I got in touch and basically suggested I should get in touch with my old tutor and back at Huddersfield University and see if there's anything they can do to help to identify it.
So we took this jelly, but now by the time we got it to the university, it had been kept in a jam jar. It had kind of degraded into this brown, slimy stuff, which was a bit smelly. So we took this along to what was the department at Huddersfield?
Chemical and Biological Sciences Department.
Right. So we went along there, and we've done a little report of our visit.
And so I thought, well, why not contact my old tutor, my old lecturer, who's now the head of department for Chemical and Biological Sciences in Huddersfield University. So we've just come down here to meet with him to discuss the analysis of the sample that you found next to the deer. It was back in January.
Yeah. And we've actually just come out of a meeting with him and one of his scientists, and they've agreed to do some basic tests. Just remind us, Anthony, what were the tests that they're going to do on the sample?
Well, one of the concerns with the sample, they were concerned with the samples kind of quite degraded, so they were a bit worried they may not be able to determine the origin of it. One of the problems is the sample is now 3 months. It's been about 3 months since the deer was found and the sample was taken. We want to determine the best technique to analyse the sample, basically, so we're giving them half the sample. And they're going to go off and now find the best way to analyse it. Within analytical chemistry, there's actually quite a range of so many different things you could do to analyse it. It really depends on the nature of the substance. So at the moment, they're looking into physical properties to work out the best way to analyse this stuff, so to give us a good answer.
Okay.
Hopefully by tomorrow.
It has been suggested that it's some kind of fungus, and it probably would break down into a liquid. Now they've taken half of the sample, so what we have here is we've got half of it left, and there are 2 or 3 tests that they've agreed to do, Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, I think initially they're going to look at doing some elemental analysis to find out what elements are in there.
Right.
Basically, I mean, the thing is, if it's organic, if it is the suspected a fungi, for example, then there'll be known breakdown products of fungi. Like it's effectively it will be like fruit products, basically.
Mm-hmm. All right then, Anthony. So once the scientists had a look at this, can you tell us what they concluded?
Well, one of the problems with the sample, first off, is that the original deer was found, was it January? Mm-hmm. In January time.
Beginning of January, 4th, I think.
And we didn't take the sample to the university until, was it March time, end of March. So there's been like 2.5 months have gone by, and the sample was just stored at ambient room temperature, so it obviously degraded into this kind of brown mush. It'd gone from the reported
bright yellow jelly
colour
into like brown gooey stuff.
Yeah, so the sample had obviously degraded. So we were a bit kind of we're a bit kind of like cautious because I mean, there's still something you can get from a really degraded sample.
Right.
Anyway, so when we took it along and showed it to the guys, and they basically said, well, obviously, I just mentioned, it's degraded, so might not get too much from it. But they went ahead and did an elemental analysis on the sample, because obviously, when samples degrade, the molecular structure might change, but you're going to have the same atoms in there, molecules. And elemental analysis just looks at the atoms. So they used X-ray fluorescence to basically find out which elements are present, and they managed to identify calcium and zinc. Because the test is not very sensitive, is not sensitive at all to some materials, and anything lighter than calcium, higher in the periodic table than calcium, say higher, lower, in a smaller atom, isn't detectable by this stuff. So anything to indicate by organic material, for example, oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen. You wouldn't see that in the test. So all they managed to see was calcium and zinc, which are kind of common. You kind of expect to see.
So that
it's not making it. It didn't look at anything.
Not suggestive of a barrier thing or.
Oh, it was kind of inconclusive at that point.
Right.
So what they went on to do is basically look through a microscope at the sample to see what they could see, and they basically found like the sample was the greatest sample as it gone to it liquefied, and within the liquid there was like lots of microbes swimming around basically. So that kind of, it concluded from that basically if this gel had been synthetic, that's a leap. But if it had been, then it wasn't the biocide or anything, because it wasn't toxic to these microbes. They were actually feeding off it.
Right. So I did have somebody contact me and say, look, it looked like a particular type of fungus, and it was suggested that that's probably what it was, which is why there was microbes swimming around it. And I forget the name of the fungus was.
Tremella.
Tremella, and it does come in this really bright colour.
It does, yeah. I mean, himself having not seen the original sample, I couldn't say, but from the description, from what I've seen, what tremella is, even though it's normally kind of folded in a kind of like a fungus, like it's kind of folded.
Looks like a little
ripples.
brain.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a brain or something. Yeah. But you can imagine if it's fallen off a tree and it's dead and it's been on the ground a few days, it can go a bit flatter, which could account for the description of the actual material. Right.
Okay, well, when we went to Huddersfield, we also stopped off at Todmorden, because that was somewhere I just wanted to visit. It's a UFO hotspot, and is famous for the Alan Godfrey case of 1980. This is the police officer who witnessed this UFO in front of his police car and then had missing time. So we've got a little clip from our little trip to Todmorden. Okay, we've just left Huddersfield University, and Anthony said to me, is there anywhere in particular you'd like to go, Richard, while we're killing a bit of time? I said, well, how far's Todmorden? That's not far from here. He said, well, it's about half an hour drive. So we've just driven up onto the Pennines and we've stopped on our way to Todmorden. Now, Todmorden is a hotspot for UFO activity. It's a hotspot for abduction activity, and strange things have happened to animals here. Animals have gone missing in their hundreds. Animals have been abducted and mutilated. So it's a very, very interesting place with regards to ufology. Some people do believe there's some kind of facility either under the ground or nearby, so we're just going to poke our noses around Todmorden. So I'm here in Todmorden and I've met this gentleman called Ted, and, who's 92, and as you can see, one of the first things you notice when you come to Todmorden is there are hills on all sides of it. We're kind of in the bottom of a valley here, aren't we, Ted? Yeah. But I've asked Ted whether he has, I mean, he's 92, he's lived here all his life, and you've never seen a UFO? You've never seen anything unusual in the sky? No. You ever heard of farmers having their animals going missing?
No. All right. Farmers don't have animals these days.
Right.
Keep the buggers locked up all the time. In the olden days, yeah, there were the fields, didn't they?
Right.
We keep them locked up down the milking machines.
So which regiment were you in?
I was in the RAF.
Oh, you were in the RAF?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So give me a number.
968-702.
968-702?
Yep.
Sir.
It's a silly story. The Peel came in 1939. Fully all trained in the fighting force.
Right.
Where they have to go to.
We're in Todmorden and we found this pub with a humorous name. called the polished knob. I'm going to go in there and see if we can find any alien abductees. The polished knob and bizarrely missing person Michael Cartwright. So have we found evidence of an abducted person already? And no town is complete without its Masonic Hall in Todmorden. Okay, Anthony, now we want to talk about this conference that you've organised, which is taking place on the 5th, 6th and 7th of August at Leeds, at the University of Leeds. And there are a whole range of speakers spread over 3 days. Now, first off, exopolitics is a bit of a mouthful, and I'm just going to read out a definition that I've got here, just to explain to people what it is. Exopolitics is an interdisciplinary scientific field with its roots in the political sciences that focuses on research, education and public policy with regards to the actors, institutions and processes associated with extraterrestrial life, as well as the wide range of implications this entails through public advocacy and newly emerging paradigms. Now, could you not just call it a UFO conference?
I suppose it's a little bit more advanced than a UFO conference.
Right.
I mean, you could take UFOs out of it and you still got exopolitics.
Right, so exopolitics is more wide-ranging than just UFOs. This definition that I've read is from Dr. Michael Saller, who I think he was the first one to coin the phrase exopolitics. Exo meaning outside of. And politics, well, we all know what politics is. So it's the politics of between Earth and somewhere else, I guess.
Well, it's the politics of the institutions. I think you mentioned. I mean, that could, an institution could be the government, it could be the US, British governments. It could also be a corporation, Lockheed Martin, you know, BT.
Right.
It could be. It's the politics of an institution, policies within a corporation or a government relating to
pertaining to UFOs or
relating to things outside of the Earth.
Right.
It would include, by definition, extraterrestrial beings. It would also include space-based weapons. It would also include searching for life on Mars.
Right. Right. All right. Now, I just want to ask you about the price, because some people contact me and say, "Oh, I can't afford that exopolitics. It costs too much." For the whole 3 days, which consists of 14 lectures, a film premiere, and 5 special events, is £99. Is that correct? And then it's £29 or £30 if you just want to go for individual days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, how have you come to the pricing? I mean, of it, Anthony?
I mean, it's cheaper than it was last year, but even the conference last year, which is more expensive, was still, I think, about 2/3 of the price of some of the comparable conferences in the UK. Not they weren't exopolitics conferences, but they're just alternative knowledge conferences.
Right.
And my reason for doing that, one of the reasons I'm able to put the conference on so cheap is because I do it all myself, basically.
Right.
So it's a bit of a, it's not quite one-man band. I get a lot of help, but we're trying to keep the costs down where we can. But yeah, I think we have 5. No, we've got 6 overseas speakers this time, which obviously with flights to pay for, hotels to bill. So there are costs that are going out. So that's what you're paying when you buy your ticket. You're paying obviously for that costs. But what you get for that money is it's going to be an 11-hour day actually.
Right.
It's an 11-hour conference. Each day will be like 9 hours of lectures effectively.
Okay, so it's split into 3 days, and the first day is about UFOs and the media. Day 2 is what?
UFOs in the military.
The military.
A bit of a general, broad concept of military.
Okay.
But yeah.
And then day 3?
Human encounters with aliens.
So this is people who are alleged to have met with or been abducted by supposed extraterrestrials. Okay, and
some people don't like to use the term alien.
Right.
Which is,
or non-human intelligences, whatever you want to call it.
It just means not us, whichever. I mean, that's all alien means, really.
And at least 2 of the speakers are self-claimed abductees. That's Steve Jones and Bridget Grant. Kim Carlsberg, is she an abductee?
She is as well.
She is as well. Yeah. So there's at least.
And we do have David Griffin is also holding a special lecture, a short lecture on that Tuesday, where he's going to cover a UK contact case. So we'll have an additional person. On the
Tuesday?
On the Sunday.
On the Sunday, yeah. So
Dave Griffin will be presenting a lady who we haven't put it on the schedule yet. But,
right.
She wants to remain anonymous, but there is another one on that day too.
Right, okay.
With video.
Now we're going to discuss in detail each of the speakers that you've got at the conference this year, Anthony.
Yeah.
But before that, it's time to go over to our poet in the pub.
Here's one about hemorrhoids. Pile drivel. I like to wrap my jaws around a greasy bacon sandwich. I guess that didn't save me from hemorrhoidal anguish. I sat on the bog and strained a while with the blood oozing out of my purple piles. Me tapered torpedo lay in the bowl, covered in blood-stained toilet roll. Oh, life's a bitch. I hope I don't get a 7-year itch. Mushy mucus seeping out and staining all me drawers. The last time that a pile popped out, I was groaning on the floor. Nodules round my folding star, but I don't wonder what they are. I find my commode and turn the page as I await preparation H. Oh, a body twitch. You don't get bumps on a cricket pitch. It's such an oddity, this proctology. An arsehole ain't tautology. Open sores on me lifeboat hanger. It feels like somebody's lit a banger. Me turtle's slipping past the puss. To be honest, I get a little buzz. Oh, it's such a pisser. I hope I don't get a rectal fissure. I hope I don't get an anal stricture. Piles are awful. Get the picture?